everyone. I have been waiting pretty much most of the year to be able to do this video. And I finally have all of the pieces of the puzzle where I can finally make this debt confessional video. The reason why it took me so long to make it, literally the entire year, is because I spent the last 3 years of the pandemic being continuously employed and unemployed and laid off and employed and laid off and unemployed. And I finally decided to leave the medical field completely after 12 years, repurpose all of my skill sets as an entrepreneur, and pursue a job that really fulfills my passions, which sounds boring, but there's a skill for everyone out in the world. And I enjoy doing document preparation. So I got a position with an amazing company last December. My anniversary will be in a year, in about 4 weeks. And basically all of 2023 has been focused on just trying my best to get out of the red, catch up on all the bills that I was behind on the last couple years. And I was finally in a place just before summer hit, midsummer, where I was able to start making plans for the rest of 2023 and go into 2024. And then life just does what it does and completely changes course. And I was hit with a lot of unexpected bills, as you will see. I was hit with my cat getting very sick, and there was a cancer scare. So taking her to the veterinarian 3 times to figure out what was going on with that, finally got her taken care of. So there were unexpected vet bills as I was just getting to a point in my finances 6 months into the year where I thought, okay, great. I've caught up on all of the bills for the past couple years. I can finally start focusing on my sinking funds again and start rebuilding my emergency fund, and then just really start focusing on compounding my income to double every month. Well, and then my cat got sick. I had to take her to the vet 3 times. And then my tires need to be replaced, but I was able to get away with changing just the 1 tire, but I still have to replace the other 3. I ended up getting pretty injured in jiu-jitsu and blew out my ACL and detached my meniscus, and then I needed to have surgery for that. And then my HOA decided to triple the HOA costs, and then my utilities started to double out of nowhere. And then my escrow was short. And it has just been one struggle after another, trying to keep my head above water. And every single month, I had a new financial change. I was trying to redo my budget and think, okay, this is what my life is now. I can reassess, I can move forward. And then it just kept coming and coming and coming. And then finally, towards the end of summer, I got a judgment letter, or I got a letter from the state saying that there was a problem from 3 years ago when I had taken unemployment through the pandemic. And apparently I had filled out the information wrong, and I didn't know this. I've never had assistance before. I've been very blessed in that way where I've always managed to get by. And so I submitted all the information that I could to try and tell them, hey, this is what was going on. This was my situation. I submitted tax returns, and finally, the end of last month, I got a judgment back that because I filed incorrectly, I was overpaid. And so now I have to owe the state to the tune of $23,000. So now we're towards the last 2 months of the year, and I finally got the most updated information for my medical bills, for my judgment to the state, and I finally was able to sit down, go through all of my outstanding balances with everyone and bills I have yet to pay, and I can finally make this debt confessional. This has been a long 11 months, a long 11 months. So we are going to start with my 6-figure debt that hangs over my head. Okay. Not all these are in order. I just sort of threw them down as I could think of them. So if you're a person who likes to see things from A to Z or smallest to largest, this is probably going to drive you nuts, but it is what it is. So my current balance is my first bill. This is the surgery copay, and that is $1,197.41. A fun little tidbit here, if you're in the situation that I was in, I definitely could not pay this in full, and I had assumed that I would be able to make payments through the surgery center website. However, when I went to the surgery center website to set up a payment plan, it only gave me an option to pay everything off in 3 months. And when you see my current financial situation, that is not possible. Absolutely not happening. I do, however, have a care credit that I applied for a month before my surgery. And I thought, okay, let me go ahead and put my care credit card to use. Now, I waited 2 months to put this balance on the care credit card because I'd never used it before. And I was under the impression that you only had 6 months to pay it off. And I'm going to tell you a little life-saving hack here. When I went ahead this past Saturday to link this balance to my care credit card, by pure luck and the grace of God, when I put this in, it actually gave me 12 different options to pay this back. And so I was able to, from 6 months up to 48 months with no interest. So I was able to pick a $50 repayment plan over the course of 24 months with no interest. So this should be starting sometime in December, and I'm guesstimating that the due date will be the date that I paid the first payment, which is the 23rd or 24th. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to use care credit, you can actually, I can't say all the time, but it can give you the option to make more than just 6 months of interest-free payments. So that was a huge weight off my shoulders this Saturday. I was waiting for 2 months to pay this bill because I just didn't know if I put it on the care credit, how much the balance would be and if I'd be able to pay it, because as you'll see, my finances are remarkably tight right now. So first balance is medical bill number 1, and that is the balance of my surgery. Medical bill number 2, which is $156.58, which I actually was able to pay this off this morning. That put me in a great mood, and I'll tell you a little hack about that at the end. The anesthesia bill for my surgery of $396.96, I was able to set up a monthly payment plan for $67, no interest, so nothing goes to interest. Discover One, $851.72, which is due the 28th. The interest is $28.24. Discover number 2, $1,992.12. This is due on the 2nd. I have a promotional period with this card, which is why I got it. It's a cash back for the first year of using this card. So let's say by the end of my term on September 6, 2024, I got $300 worth of cash back over the year. They will match the cash back and give that to me. So a little story with these two, I was using Discover One as my daily card in place of my debit card because I've had that card hacked so many times that I've resorted to using a credit card and paying it off at the end of the month. Discover Two, I put whatever utilities and reoccurring monthly expenses like Adobe subscriptions or my gym onto this card. And before the mess of the last 6 months happened, I was paying these off at the end of the month. I am now no longer able to do that, so I have stopped using these cards. as we go through this process, the balances should go down on this one. This one, it should go down, but we know how that goes. I can't say that for certain anymore because this past year has really humbled me when I thought something was going to be going a certain way, and it completely changed course without any input from me. So let's have some grace for that. My Amazon card, $1,929.33 due on the 28th. The APR is $29.99. Again, I was using this for monthly replenishing bills. So say I needed to restock on my detergent and my dryer sheets, or the cat litter and the cat food and the cat's medicine, home care, so, shampoo, dish soap, and I would pay this off at the end of the month. But because of what happened, I now have a balance that keeps tacking on interest for the majority of the year now. So these three I have stopped using, and I am just working on paying these off because the interest is so high that it just eats up the payments that I am able to do. So this is a Bank West credit card. I don't use this card. The only reason I got it was to settle a medical debt from last year where I had a miscarriage, and by the time I got the bills in January, I hadn't paid them because I sincerely thought my insurance was going to pay them, only to find out that I went to the doctor to get all this taken care of literally 24 hours before my insurance had kicked in. And so I had tried to get them to cover it, but they just would not waiver on that 24-hour period. So because I went to the doctor to take care of this and get testing done and get blood work done, literally one day before my insurance kicked in, I had to cover this. And during that time, I was very spotty with employment. I was literally winging it week to week. There was no way that I could pay off close to, over $2,000 worth of expenses and late fees. There was just no way. So in January 2024, I settled the medical debt for this, I think was 30% of the value. And but the catch was, when you have medical debts that are settling, you have to pay it in full. So I used a credit card that was paid off, and I put the balance on there. And then I went to Bank West, and I found that I could do a 0% interest for 18 months. And so I transferred the balance from that credit card to Bank West so that, hey, if I'm in a pinch and I have to make payments on a credit card, I'm going to make sure that there's little to no interest. And the promotional balance expires August 1st, 2024. And I do have a plan of attack for all these things. The next one is Mattress Firm. The balance is $4,300. It's due on the 9th. It is same as cash for the length of the payment history, or until I pay it off. So there's no interest on this. And this might be something where a lot of you think that that's incredibly excessive, and I'm going to tell you something that changed my life. After working 12 years in the medical field and having significant PTSD from having to be woken up during the night to go to call and take care of patients who are bleeding out and on the verge of death, I had a very long road to recovery, to work through my PTSD, to sleep. And many times throughout my years, people have told me that it was because of my mattress, and I just completely refused to believe that that was even a thing. So finally, when I was just desperate and I couldn't, I needed to sleep. I just needed to sleep. I decided on a weekend to go into the mattress store and see what the heck people were talking about, because everyone told me that the 10-year-old mattress that I had bought from Amazon on a whim was just insane, and that's not how you do mattresses. So when I went into the mattress store and I went in and I talked to the salesperson, and he asked me if I knew how to shop for mattress, I had no clue what he was talking about. And when he explained to me how mattresses are made and that there's this thing called biofeedback, and had me lay on a couple mattresses, I didn't know what he was talking about. None of them felt great. They all felt terrible. I laid down on this mattress and immediately I had biofeedback happening, and I could not believe immediately how much better my body felt. Didn't even think about it. I thought, I'm getting this mattress. I am. And I'm telling you, it just worked out, because when I got this mattress in the middle of summer, apparently it was an early Black Friday sale, and it was a one-day thing where you could buy it with same as cash, no interest, for the term of however long it took you to pay it off. So within a week, I had a new mattress, and oh my God, has it changed my life. And I understand now why, as we become adults, and that phrase, you get what you pay for, oh my God, do I understand what that means now. And this mattress has changed my life, and I could care less about having to pay this amount off, because it is my health, it is my mental health, and you cannot put a price on that. I 100% have zero regrets about this, zero. And nobody can tell me anything different until you've experienced that. I have an Affirm balance of $2,909.36 due on the 10th. The interest on this is very difficult to track because it's built into the monthly payments. So the only way you can really save interest on this is if you pay the balance off before the completion date. So say you have this for 2 years, if you pay it off before the 2 years, you don't have to pay the interest. It just disappears. You don't have to worry about that. So the interest is built into that monthly payment. So the only way I can avoid any more interest is if I pay this balance off in full before the date that it's supposed to have the final payment. I don't know what the word is. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, maturation date. Next is a credit union bank credit card that I got years ago when it had all kinds of benefits and offers. It no longer has anything, so it's just been sitting there, and I've used it in a pinch throughout my struggling of getting employment for the past 3 years. I don't use it anymore. I haven't used it since the beginning of the year because I have a job now. I don't have to use credit cards anymore, thankfully. So this is the balance that's left. $3,164.32 due on the 22nd. The interest is 16.15, and the minimum payment is $98. Paid to interest, that typically I want to say is around $30 a month, which is insane to me. Next is my car note, $10,259.05 due on the 26th. This is pre-COVID chaos, so this is 4.79%. My monthly payment is $363.73. And the paid to interest now is within the 30s, but going down every month. Next is my debt consolidation loan from being unemployed for those months before I was unemployed again last year. I'm telling you, it was a real struggle to stay afloat the last 3 years. So this personal loan for debt consolidation is $10,160.02 due on the 20th. APR is 14.63, and the payment is $250.12. I refinanced out of a SoFi personal loan because they did not give me the option to make additional payments whenever I wanted to directly to the principal. The only time I could make additional payments was after the monthly balance was paid, and any extra would go towards the principal. I hated it. The payments were close to $600 a month, and the interest was the exact same. So when I got my debt to income ratio down enough earlier this year with my new job, I was able to refinance out of that into Upgrade, where I have a lot more wiggle room, and the payment is more than half of what it used to be. Incredibly grateful for that. Next is school loan number 1. Balance is $8,897.36 due on the 25th. Interest is 5.5, and the payment is $51. School number 2. $12,409.56 due on the 25th, 5.5 interest, $79. These two, if you've had student loan payments, you know that there's providers where they lump them together. Same thing with this. If I just make a general monthly payment, it goes towards paying the balance and any extra goes to interest. I do, however, have the option to make additional principal payments to these, which will come in handy much later once I have a lot of this knocked down. The next is my state overpayment. My balance now is $20,695.20. Due on the 25th to 27th. I think this is going to be mostly due towards the last week or two of the month. There's no interest on this, providing I don't make any late payments. And you do not want to mess around with state, government, IRS, because if you mess up, they absolutely are unforgiving and they will come for you with a vengeance. If I'm late on this, there are serious consequences, and I'm not messing around with this. This is getting paid every month. And once I am able to knock down a significant amount of this debt over the next year or two, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm going to get a personal loan with as low interest as I can get to pay them off, because the subconscious knowledge that if I'm ever late on this or miss a payment, I could go to jail or be charged with a felony or have my wages garnished is incredibly stressful to have that knowledge in the back of my mind. So I would much rather, if something happens, like this year has humbled me, like I mentioned, and I have been in situations where I've been late on things because I've just been dumped with financial challenges. I would much rather just suffer a late fee than suffer the serious consequences of being late on this. If you know, you know. You don't mess around with state or government. The last thing I have is my mortgage, and this is pre-chaos. So my balance is $1,703, $316.12. This is due between the 1st and 15th of the month before late fees apply. APR is 3.49, and my monthly mortgage is $994.88. For the grand total of $2,504, $830.37. The pink in parentheses here, this is my debt without my mortgage. So without my mortgage, it's $81,514.25. I know it's very controversial to include your mortgage into your overall debt. However, I like to keep it as simple as possible, and there's really only two options. If something is an asset and puts money in your pocket, great, it's an asset, don't include it. If something is taking money out of your pocket every month, it's a debt. I am including my mortgage into this because I'm not renting out the house, I'm not renting out a room where other people are covering the mortgage. So every month, this comes out of my pocket. It is not an asset, it's a liability, it's a debt. Simple as that. So, how do I plan on paying this off? Great question. Down here, I have included a section in my little notebook that I created for myself. This isn't anywhere else. I made this. I am studying psychology, and I have been leaning towards putting my focus on the psychology of money and emotions and behavior patterns. So a big part of what I have witnessed in the budgeting community since I got involved in it 7 years ago is that people really don't understand the connection of how we grew up and why we think and do what we do with money in relation to our emotions with money. There are so many purchases that people make that are unconscious choices based off of scripts we heard growing up or how we feel about whatever's going on in our life, and we make emotional purchases or emotional decisions. So every month in my booklet, I make it a point to talk about where I'm feeling, where my headspace is at. And so what I put here for the month of November is, in the feels, what are you feeling emotionally as you look at your current finances? Are you proud, scared, crying, focused? What? I decided to put, and this is as of this past weekend that I tallied everything up once I finally got that letter, the payment booklet from the state. I could finally do all this. So I said that I feel finally I have a good baseline for finances. For the last 6 months, events kept changing drastically month to month. Finally, I feel like I have my feet on solid ground again. What habits are you creating to become financially abundant? Well, here we are. The most daring change is to document my journey. It's something big that I haven't tried. And I have been in the budgeting community since I had my epiphany moment, my aha moment 7 years ago. What was it, 7? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6 years ago. 6 years ago. And it sort of dawned on me earlier this year that the people that I have been following over the years on YouTube, they have made really incredible progress with their finances. And I think the correlation is that doing this on a YouTube channel or whatever form they decide to use, whatever platform, something about it creates an unconscious promise to yourself that you're going to see this through no matter what life throws at you, no matter how hard it gets. And there's something to be said about speaking it out loud into existence that just makes it so much more real. And so I'm hoping that through this journey of taking control of my finances, educating myself about financial literacy, putting my skills of psychology into the relationship of money and emotions, that this will not only help myself, but this will help other people. And hopefully down the line, I'll be in a place where I have a good work-life balance, that I can start shifting things and start helping other people learn why they do what they do, why they spend the way that they do, why they feel the way that they feel. And a lot of this is so deep-rooted in us that it's so much unconscious behaviors and thought patterns. So I look forward to down the line being able to coach people and help people understand why they do what they do. But you can't talk about something you've never been through or experienced, right? So I feel that if I'm willing to put myself out there and be vulnerable, open, and honest with people, people would feel comfortable to do the same. And I thought about how I want to track my numbers, and I think just to keep it for simplicity's sake, what I would like to do is just keep track of my overall debt to income ratio. And I know that there's other DTI calculators based off of mortgages, based off of, for car loans or for student loans or for personal loans. But my ideology is that if your overall debt to income ratio goes down, then all those other factors go down as well, and it makes your finances better, and it makes you more of a responsible, trustworthy borrower. Should you find the need to have to do those things, which most people will need to borrow for cars or medical expenses or homes. Just it is what it is. So currently, with my debt of $2,504,830.37 divided by my monthly income, my DTI is 62.5%, which is very high. Very, very, very high. Ideally, this should be between 30-40% on the high end. So this is extremely high. Now, when I was working in medical and I had really good steady work before everything went to hell, I was making incredible money. I had such good money. I was making close to 6 figures. and I had more money than I knew what to do with. I had all of my sinking funds flushed. They were great. I had all my bills paid off. Everything was automated. My investing was automated. And then when that stopped, and in my struggle to survive for the past 3 years, I depleted pretty much everything, had to cash out whatever I had in my 401k to survive. So I'm starting literally at ground zero, scorched earth, base ground. So if you are finding yourself in this situation where you're in a great deal of debt, either overall or commercially, you're feeling some type of way, you're not sure where to start, you think it's overwhelming, or you're starting a brand new job and you're starting over with savings and investing and saving for retirement like I am, I hope that this helps you feel like there's a way forward. How am I planning to attack all this? Well, I am currently on a one income situation, and 3 years ago I had multiple revenue streams. So I will be working on building more revenue streams as I see quality opportunities pop up. I don't want to put my time and energy into just desperate low-hanging fruit where it's not consistent income, it takes too much of my time, or it requires too much of my effort and energy for too little payout. So as I move forward, when I see really fruitful opportunities come up, I will go ahead and work on those to make more income streams. So my plan of attack now is I'm going to work on paying off my Discover One, Discover Two, and Amazon, since all these have interest. And my Affirm. So I'm going to attack the items that have high interest or high balances that are, I don't want those to max out and hit my credit worse, and make it worse. My plan is to attack Discover One, Discover Two, Amazon, and Affirm. And then once I have those things paid off and I can free up this chunk of money, I'm going to reassess. I'm very hesitant to make long-term plans because I did that this year and it has kicked me in the teeth every single month. So I'm at the point now where I'm literally just doing things on a month-by-month basis. Because life is just, it'll come out of left field for you. I feel like that's the best route for me, is to knock out the high interest first and then reassess everything. So if all goes well, I should have Discover One paid off by the end of December. I should have Anesthesia paid off by the end of December. And then from January, we'll have to reassess this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a monthly update to show how much debt has been paid down. And we're going to see how long it takes for us to get this number down under 60%. So if this looks like something that you want to be a part of, or you're just curious to witness, feel free to join me on this. And I hope to share little tidbits of psychology information to people who might not otherwise know really what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. So yeah, that is all I have to share with you now. And we will see how this goes next month. I do want to add a disclaimer that I am not going to be the person who hyper fixates on every single penny and every single expense. I used to do that years ago, and then I realized that it wasn't very healthy because it is supporting a scarcity mindset where I am so fearful of not having enough money that I have to track where every penny goes, every single payday, every single week, every single sinking fund every single account. And I just, at this point in my life, I just want to keep it simple, and I'm not going to be hyper obsessing over that. I look at my financial picture twice a month when I need to allocate where money's going when I get paid, and I get paid bi-weekly. Before, I used to hyper obsess about this on an almost daily basis, and that's just not healthy. And I don't want to have that type of life, because I don't want to live in fear that I have to know where every penny is going every day, all the time. That is not my idea of a full rich life. No. So I will be doing budgeting on a probably 2-week basis. And as I feel that I can add and contribute more value to people, I'll create little snippets or shorts and whatnot. But I really just want to keep it simple. Don't stress out, don't panic, and I'll be sharing more of the things that I've learned over the past couple years, and hopefully it helps more people. So that's it. That's my confession. And I want to touch on the word confession because I feel that in this country, there is so much shame and embarrassment and anger towards money and personal finances. And I just want to share with people that you really don't need to feel that way, because this happens not by accident. It is intentional that none of us are taught about financial literacy in school. It's intentional to keep us all stuck in the financial wheel, just spinning and spinning for the rest of our lives. I have never met a person who came from a school where they were constantly educated at any point, either young, older, elementary, middle school, high school. Nobody is going to school and getting education on what credit cards are, or interest rates, or how to invest, or what stocks are, or what bonds are, or what 401ks are, or IRAs. Nobody knows. No one tells you about sinking funds. So I don't want people to come to this channel and feel embarrassed that they have debt, or feel angry, or have so much self-loathing. That's very unproductive. It's not good for you to carry that. The society being ignorant about how money works, that's not by accident. You have to go out of your way to educate yourself to do better. And on this channel, I want people to know that this is a safe space. We don't have to hate ourselves and feel embarrassed or ashamed. There's a reason why people talking about money is so taboo, because a lot of people in positions where they know about money, they're gatekeeping. They don't want you to know this. So there will be no gatekeeping here. There will be no shaming here. There will be no attacking each other here. This is a safe space for us to talk about anything, money, our emotions, why we do what we do, and have transparency here. So I hope you all had a good holiday weekend, and I will see you on the next video. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and get the notifications for when I'm sharing more of my journey and sharing more information. Thank you so much.